you either die a hero or live to see yourself become the villain. And I'm like, oh, that's good.
So which is it for you? You know,
I want to die a hero.
that's
an glorious incident involving sarcasm and fried chicken.
It's an old Greek chant when people would do something particularly great in the Olympics, they would call out "Die now."
Oh,
because that's the peak of your life. So
that's
if you die
quite
now,
morbid,
you die
but
at the
cool.
peak of your life,
That's
and no one will
morbid.
remember your slow decay into aged. They'll just remember the way.
That's very Spartan.
Yeah.
What does it mean to have a human in the loop?
Human in the loop. Human in the loop. What in the world is a human in the loop? Human in the loop.
AI in the loop. Humans in charge.
Welcome to Human in the Loop.
So today we have with us Ollie Hill, who is the country manager for Schneider Electric, not Schindler's Lists.
That's
Or
a
lifts.
movie.
That's a movie. The global energy technology leader, Schneider Electric, who is 19 decades old.
190 years this year.
Is that as old as electricity?
Older. We made other things before that.
Were they called Schneider Electric then?
It was
No.
called Schneider. Yeah, it wasn't electric. That got added later.
They saw it coming and they jumped off that train. But Ollie
we made trains.
No, this is a thing, like really old companies. Nokia made toilet paper.
Yeah.
Nokia was a wood pulp manufacturer.
Nintendo made other stuff before they made the
They were
Nintendo.
Nintendo's like 1886 or something like that. They made playing cards.
I kind of love it when you see these. It's a lot of overseas brands too, probably because the provenance of families and dynasties in Europe and Asia. Every time I'm in it,
But
I'm like, is Mitsubishi a car or a AC unit?
It's an everything.
It's an everything.
It's an anti-American
that
warfighter.
was deliberate though, right?
kamikaze
When they were
aircraft.
building those organizations, they were specifically like, we want to build organizations that do everything. Right? They were the first vertical integrators.
Yeah, I think they grow cabbages as well.
Yeah.
Seriously, there's Japanese companies. They do like
Zaibatsu, I think.
lots of different
Yeah,
stuff.
like I think Fuji heavies like nuclear and trucks and like
And printers.
and
yeah.
Which kind of comes back to the point you made before. It's being an invisible company or a company so ubiquitous that they touch everything, and it's kind of like your life wouldn't run the way that it does unless that company existed and you kind of don't even know about it. I think when I said before, like it's like water. Have you ever seen that viral commencement speech? It must be like a decade old at least. And there's someone and he says there are two fish swimming around, and then an old fish passes them and says, "Hey guys, how's the water?" And the two young fish look at each other and go, "What's water?" You know, just this idea that like the things that are around you, you don't even have to think about. And electricity by far and away is something we take for granted, but you guys probably don't.
Except I would say in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
energy has become a lot more topical than it had been for decades before that, right? Because we've had businesses shutting down because of high energy prices. We've got the data center boom, which is fueling a lot of talk about energy, which I know we'll get into. But it is very topical now, and that's one thing that I'm loving about this organization is we're doing important work for New Zealand, which is we need to be more efficient. So, sorry, we'll
No, it's good because it kind of makes me think as well. I've heard that you have a highly electrified home. Am I saying it? I keep saying he's got a whole electrified house, and someone's like, no, that means it's going to kill him.
When you say you're electrifying something, usually it means to make something, have a higher voltage than ground, so that when you touch it, it's
electrifying.
smart
When we
home.
say electrifying, we're talking about going from
Automating.
fossil processes to electric processes. So switching out you're
naturalizing your home.
Your car that was a petrol car to an electric car, or removing your gas hot water and replacing it with electric hot water. That's electrifying your home. Yeah.
I mean, New Zealand's already, because I was just thinking about this just before when you were talking about like the impacts of high energy prices on organizations, right? Like New Zealand's reasonably dodged that compared to places like Europe where, like I buy or don't anymore German tools, and like the German tooling industry's really been hit hard since the Ukraine war because they were 100% dependent on that cheap natural gas to run the blast furnaces and things. But here we've mostly had like, the smelters we've had here, like Camelco and the aluminium extrusion
TY?
places, they're all electrified already, right? And have been for a long time.
Yes, and so those organisations are already electrified, which is amazing, and the majority of our grid is electrified, which is amazing. But there is a lot of processes that are not connected to the grid and that are not electrified. So yes, TY, we've now got New Zealand Steel that's got the electric arc furnace, which is a great step. They still have other furnaces that are not that one. And then there are massive industries outside of that run on gas and coal.
Yeah.
And so as well as our transportation as well. So there is still a huge amount to electrify. It's just industry stuff. And so consumers don't see it because it's not in their home, and you're not welcomed onto those factory sites as a consumer, right? So I get the pleasure of going to those sites and seeing those coal boilers, and there is a massive job to be done to electrify that.
If you look at it from a business like that, is it the cost saving and efficiency that's the greatest gain by electrifying? Is it reducing carbon and pollution or emissions? Is it just cleaner, faster, more reliable energy? What would be the biggest driver to get businesses to move?
Yeah, so it depends on which fuel you're using. If it's to get off gas, then yes, it's cost because the price of gas is going up exponentially and the supply is running out, which has been well disclosed. Coal's pretty cheap. So it's really the sustainability side when it comes to replacing coal. So that's the process that we go through, is helping people figure out, how can they replace this and get a better return as well. So, if you add in solar and batteries instead of just attaching to the grid, how can you be an active participant in the ecosystem and get a payback for that? And this is where we come in, which is energy intelligence. So it's, the cheapest energy is the energy you don't use, first of all, but then there's this dynamic grid. So we've come from a period of time where grids were one directional. You produced energy in one spot and you sent it to where it's used and then gets used. We're now in this phase of what we call prosumer. So you produce and consume. And that's at the home because you've got solar panels, and it's at the factory where you've got solar, wind, maybe your gas turbine, and especially in data centers. People talk about data centers and the demand they put on the grid, but they can also be a very active player because guess what? They don't rely on the grid. They use the grid, but they've also got backup generators that can power the data center while not attached to the grid. So they can be an active participant in that system when you're like, hey guys, we've got a problem. We need more energy up there and the lines aren't, and we're hitting the peak of the peak, which you always have to build for. They can be an active participant. You can say, we're gonna load shed you from the grid. Please turn this off and turn that on. And so we're getting into the super dynamic environment where you need data and software and a complete ecosystem because it's not one directional anymore.
Are we really behind when it comes to data centers?
I mean, we just don't have that many compared to the build out that they're going through in the States at the moment is insane.
Yeah.
We have more than Myanmar.
Yes, we have more. We have more than Mars. The whole planet, we've got more.
More than Antarctica.
Give me $2 trillion. I could build a few data centers in Auckland.
Dano's theory of relativity.
Maybe one.
Yeah. Probably just take the money and
I was going to say, give me $2 trillion and we'll see how long it takes you to find me.
Yeah.
It's interesting talking about that dynamic allocation though, because thinking about how it plays out as a user experience, it basically doesn't exist still, right? Like the most I've got is something like, if I owned my house, I could get a plan where I could charge my car overnight, and I would save some money on that overnight, by delaying when I plug my car in. But there's no exposure in the interface I have with my electronic devices into how much it's going to cost me to run them. When if I don't run this now, when can I run it? That's going to save. There's no dynamic pricing built into it or anything. Or I can't just say to my washing machine, wash as soon as the price drops below the average or this specific amount or anything. It's just up to me to know the static pricing from my supplier.
And that's where we need to get to. With dynamic pricing, once you've got a battery, you can buy at night when it's cheap and sell it back to the grid in the morning and the evening when it's expensive. So you start to get this return and start to get this dynamic. And the thing that's amazing for the grid is then you don't have to build as many poles and wires, which then lowers all of our bills. So this is like really, really important that we get this in place. What you're seeing in Australia, they've just rolled out battery subsidies. It's gone absolutely ballistic over there. Everyone loves something for free. And so, their peak power prices have come down significantly compared to the previous 2 years because people now have batteries.
You're just buffering and smoothing, right?
Exactly.
So we're talking about, I have one friend, they've got one of those like large
Just
Tesla
one?
units.
I'm your friend.
I have one friend with a battery in their house and solar panels on their roof.
Thank
and
you.
it's one of those big Tesla ones that sits in the wall. And they have the EV, but it was a whole palaver to go through. I actually think they won it through a competition or whatever. But is there like a barrier to entry in New Zealand because we haven't subsidized as heavily as maybe what Australia are doing? Like the idea that, having a battery is not a cheap thing to buy, right? It's 3-4 grand.
Oh, it's way more than that. Yeah. I mean, if you think about the price for electric cars, right? Half the price of that electric car is the battery in the car.
Holy heck. Okay.
And a house needs a bigger battery than a car.
No, not true.
No.
A car battery is 5 times the size of a house battery.
Yeah.
Which is why vehicle to
My
grid,
house needs a bigger battery.
vehicle to grid is super exciting.
Yeah.
Because you've already bought the electric car, and guess what? It's got a massive battery in it. And you can plug it into your house and run your house on your car.
Yeah.
And so that technology is there today. It's happening today. The biggest barrier to that is car warranties. So the manufacturer actually saying, yep, we'll warrant your car to be able to do that.
Discharge.
But super exciting because you've already got thousands, tens of thousands of these things driving around. And if you can unlock that, then you can do really amazing things for the grid.
But there's also a cottage industry forming around secondhand batteries because there's tons of like Leafs that sort of have the Leaf batteries.
Sorry, what does that mean?
Oh, the Nissan Leaf.
No, I know what a Nissan Leaf is.
The Nissan Leaf.
What is a cottage industry?
Oh, it's just like a little micro industry that is just forming. Yeah.
Like a little
Did I
Leaf
get that
community.
right? Some
Yeah, no,
fact check?
perfect.
Yeah, cool, correct.
So yeah, there's the Nissan Leaf was like a strange chemistry because it was one of the first cars, and it doesn't have an active cooling system, so it's got no fans, and batteries are really temperamental with temperature, high and low. So everyone thought that the Nissan Leaf was just gonna the battery was just gonna spontaneously combust and kill small babies, and so it's about a 24 kilowatt hour pack, which is you only probably need about half of that, 10 kilowatts probably for a house, just to smooth over, run critical functions overnight, things like that. And everyone estimated that the battery is going to last about 10 years. Nissan warranted it for about 10 years. They're only hitting about 50% of the capacity now at about 13, 14 kilowatts. And some of these cars are 24, 25 years old.
Wow.
So you can buy one for what, like $8,000 secondhand?
Yeah, we got one,
which
for
is
5.
way cheaper than a house battery, and it's got more capacity. So it's like cheaper to buy a Leaf and plug it into your house than it is to, and then you get a free car.
Oh my gosh,
and Nissan
is insane.
In their great Japanese wisdom, used a Tita chassis and just like hollowed out the bottom, and so the battery pack comes off, and it's just got one connector. So you just literally pull it out with a couple of bolts, put it upright, and plug it in.
Well,
And
yeah.
so-
The
Don't do this at home.
The danger is, right, like I've been looking at that and been like, wow, that'd be super cool. If I owned a house, I'd probably be looking at doing it. But there's no way you're getting insurance for that, right? Like you're talking like
you
hundreds
obviously
of amps
put it in your
and-
neighbor's backyard.
Oh, yeah.
God, Hamish, that's why you can run a cable, right?
Oh my
But
gosh.
there are these BMSs that you can buy off, a reliable Chinese manufacturer because they handle a lot of electric power supplies. They're like $300-$400 that'll convert that car load into a V2L compatible load, and you can get a wrecked battery for like $1,500, and people are starting to make
You
sort
get
of
like
these secondhand units that
40 or 50% one, you can get them even cheaper. Because the problem is the Leafs don't have like a huge range anyway. Right? Like we got one of those cheap Leafs for as a city run around. My wife uses it mostly. It's got like 80% health, and that's 120 to 130 kilometers of range, which is perfect for getting around the city, but is not good enough to get up to see my mum and Kerry, right?
Yeah.
And once that drops to 50%, like I wouldn't drive it at 50% total battery health. I'd just be in range anxiety the entire time I was driving anywhere. But it makes a perfectly good house battery.
Yeah. I've still got one from 2011. I've got a Leaf from 2011. It's got 48% state of health. We chuck the garden clippings in it.
Oh my
dad
gosh.
does. Lawnmower, garden clippings.
And the
So
leaves.
It's a weird place to store
The leaves
your
and
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
well, it's surprisingly a very handy little car. So like, I don't know. It's like electrification is an attitude problem. You know, like it's been around for hundreds of years. It's way surpasses most forms of combustion based. It's just the price point used to be super cheap because we're just, doing everything for cheap back in the day. Now it's
the thing that New Zealand, we're a small country. Actually, we're not a small country. We're a medium-sized country with a small population. I try and remind people of that because they always think we're a small country. We're actually a medium-sized country.
bigger than Myanmar though.
Same size as like Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
People are like, whoa. I'm like, just way less people.
We need to do this little graphic. Sorry, side quest.
Graphic?
If you so Zespri has 2 offices, growing offices in New Zealand and in Italy. And if you flip Italy around upside down, it is exactly the shape of New Zealand. And that's going to appear right here. Side quest complete. Carry on.
Anyway, but we've got amazing natural resources for renewable energy, which is why we already have great renewable energy. So we have this opportunity today, which is, hey, if we can actually leverage more of that, then we can be in clean energy superpower, and we can export that energy. Where you thought, well, how do you export energy?
I was literally about to ask that.
Because you can now turn it into data and
Oh my
export
gosh.
the data, and so that is
I thought
our
you were gonna
data
say
center.
hydrogen.
Well, that too, yeah. And anyone who wants to build a hydrogen plant, they can ping me on LinkedIn. We're keen to chat.
I thought you were going to pitch to raise money.
Because we've got lots of water as well.
Exactly.
and-
So
and
you
lots of
can
energy,
physically ship electricity around, right? Like, because Toyota, few car manufacturers, they've not been hot on electric cars, right? They're worried about the charging, and they've not really invested in it. They've been focusing on hydrogen instead. Hydrogen's great because you can make it out of water. You take water, you pass electricity through it, it gives you oxygen and hydrogen. Oxygen's kind of flammable, and hydrogen's really flammable, so you don't want to just do it in an enclosed space, but it's really easy to do. And then you just capture all the hydrogen, and you ship it off somewhere else, and they burn it. It turns back into water.
The tricky bit's
Podcast
the
with a
shipping
side
it.
of science.
The tricky bit is the shipping it because it's very delicate to transport. Anyway,
Wouldn't want to go through the Strait of Hormuz.
which is why getting it in a car and keeping it in a car is tricky too.
Oh my, okay. I'm just going to take a moment to process the physics. Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Water is H2O.
Okay, I know that.
That means 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. If you put electricity through it, they stop being H2O and just become H and O. And then the O's join together and form O2, and the H's just sort of flap around.
But at what point physically does that turn back into
When
electricity?
you burn it.
So you collect the
Creates heat,
hydrogen,
and then that
and then you-
steams,
Okay.
and then turbine, and then back to every power creation mechanism that humanity's ever created spins a turbine.
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
converts water to
you
steam,
can,
and then
you
spins
can
the
use
turbine.
hydrogen with fuel cells, which is like
except
quite
for
unique.
photovoltaics. Yeah.
So fuel cells, they don't burn anything. You just put hydrogen on one side and water on the. What do you put on the other side? And then there's like a migration of atoms, and then some electrons get pulled off, and that produces a voltage. Who knows?
This is just like a Veritasium video.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a skill test.
Since
I'm
we're
really-
asking the editors to do impossible shit, here is an animation of a fuel cell.
I mean, one of my children asks things like, why isn't it possible to create infinite energy through kinetics? And then it's like, well, you've got to take in the physical factors of like friction and air and all of this stuff. I want to come back to data as energy.
So the whole world is demanding huge amounts of compute power.
Yep.
And you can now export that by building AI factories, like what DataGrid are planning to do in the South Island, because we've got huge natural advantages. So I talked about we've got abundant natural resources to make electricity, but we also have quite a cool climate, and that means that there's a calculation used in data centers to compare per dollar that you spend on energy to run the process, how much do you have to spend to cool it?
Uh-huh.
And in most places, it's about 50%, maybe 45% of the running cost you then spend to cool. In New Zealand, you can hit 25%. So it means you use significantly less energy for an AI process than you would in another country, because you can use the outside air to cool. You're not having to cool down 30-degree air. In Invercargill, you're cooling down what average temperature might be 15 degrees. So significant natural advantages. And then you can send this. So people want to like train AI agents. Why not do it in New Zealand?
Yeah.
And that's the value we can export if we get our data center strategy right, and people understand the value of it for New Zealand, and not have these misconceptions about the downsides.
Yeah.
I think energy independence just goes directly to the cost of living and inflation. 40% of your CPI is energy. And also getting bullied around by other countries, a significant portion of their argument is energy.
Yeah.
The controlling gas, controlling oil, controlling coal, controlling technology related to all of these things. They are how influence is exercised in the world, whether we like it or not. And so being fully energy independent allows us to kind of just do our own thing. Which
Does
I think
that
is not
also
a
mean
bad...
retaining state ownership over
I think
energy
it's,
assets?
So yeah, this is the really interesting argument that needs to be looked at more carefully, right? Like on one hand, Meridian IPOing, you look at state ownership of businesses, and Kiwi Rail and Air New Zealand, right? And Meridian was IPO'd, and it was IPO'd at about, I think, $1 billion or something like that back in the day. And the 51% that the government has left is worth about $6 billion. And they have shareholder majority rights. So they can't influence the direction of the organization aside from indirect influence. It's still quite powerful, but they can stop anything that they don't like. So it's quite a good position and a good example of state-owned ownership and private-public partnership, where shareholders are actually returned a good amount because the government kind of guarantees the business, because energy is a critical part of your infrastructure. Yeah. And if you can create a high-performing private enterprise that is majority owned by the government, I actually think it's a good model, and it's worked in some places and it hasn't, right? So
it guarantees availability too, right? Like talking about data center rollout, and like the US is where it's happening the most. The thing that's holding back data centers, the thing that SpaceX is basing its whole valuation on, is electricity availability. It's not GPU availability anymore. But even ignoring the data centers that are being built, the distortion and the impact on people living in the States is huge when a data center goes in nearby, right? Like there's whole towns that have been told, we are just cutting your power off. We, the only option for you to buy power, will no longer sell you power because we're going to sell it to the data center down the street instead because they'll pay me 3 times as much. We don't care, right? Like we have no obligation to service you, so we're not going to anymore.
But to be honest, there's issues with listed companies, because they actually have fiduciary. So there's instances where they've turned this down and they've said, no, we're going to supply the town, and then investors and shareholders sue them. Yeah, because it's like black and white. You're not meeting your fiduciary responsibility. You have to maximize profit for shareholders. You're not maximizing profit for shareholders, so we're going to court. And in America, you can sue anyone for anything multiple times.
For us here, the connection to the grid is controlled by the utilities that are not private enterprises. So if you want to build a data center, you cannot build a data center unless Transpower give you connection to the grid, and they control that. So for us, that's nothing happens unless that's the case. So I think often the comparisons to the US I think are really dangerous because you get these big headlines about like water usage and data centers. Well, guess what? New Zealand data centers don't use water. Ooh, like they use the most amount of water that they use is the toilet because they run closed loop systems. And we cool the water that's in the data center. So they take in some water and then they cool it and they pump it around. In the US, they take water from a natural source and then they pump out hot water. Not good. Although we don't do that here, but everyone here talks about water usage. It drives me mental.
I was just because you said misinformation.
The regulatory control is what's important too, right? Like for me, even in the States, they use less water than you'd expect. But the problem is they pollute almost all the water with PFAS, right? They don't intend to.
What's
but they
PFAS?
also Teflon, forever chemicals.
Okay.
It's the stuff that like they use it as like an insulator and a lubricant inside their cooling systems. And theoretically, it's separated from the water supply that's coming in from the rivers, right? They're not supposed to be leaking PFAS into the river.
But they do.
But there's no penalty. And so they're just kind of lazy about making sure it doesn't happen. And so the biggest issue I see of the water usage over there is they just are leaking these toxic chemicals because no one's stopping them from doing it.
Whereas in New Zealand, people are like, no, there's no way we're going to let you pump that water back into. No.
You're like, but that doesn't.
But the narrative is this taking of the water.
Bad.
Data centers are bad. And even like the little narratives, remember when ChatGPT first came out and everyone's like, oh, it uses all this energy, and it's like 1,000 times a Google search and all this stuff. It's like, okay, yep, it was true. It used a lot of energy there, but it now uses 1/10 of the amount of energy that it used at launch. But no one remembers that because it's not a headline. Hey, by the way, they've made it way more efficient. It's not really exciting.
You need like an energy influencer.
Yeah, there you go.
Guys, we have an opportunity to create great, renewable, efficient energy with data centers that we control, and New Zealand can start to build up its own version of something. Stop resharing the American memes.
Yes.
And they have genuine problems. But if
But also, that's a business opportunity, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, if you want a clean data center, come to New Zealand.
Yeah, but we also need to convince the public and almost touched there. The public and politicians that these things are true because people just, it's what people feel, it's what they believe. I'm at barbecues all the time and people are like, oh, data centers, got to get rid of those. And I'm like, whoa, okay, really didn't want to have to talk about work right at this moment over this beer. But, that's
But
what we do. Here we go. I feel it's my responsibility to educate you. Yeah, I'm just going to stand up here.
I mean, it is one of the advantages of being a medium-sized country with a small population, right? Is we can find it's why we've got so many hydroelectric dams, is there were quite large areas we could be like, yeah, we can dedicate this to a hydroelectric generation plant. The other issue that they have in the States with data centers is they seem to want to put them next to populated centers, right? Because that's where all the hookups are. That's where the good power is. And
but also like basic infrastructure, like food.
but they're noisy, and the gas turbines they use as either a secondary or just the only source of power because they didn't actually get regulatory approval to hook it up to the grid.
The business case that I saw a whole bunch of articles about like big sort of FANG type data centers. Business case is like, we'll bring thousands of jobs, and it turns out it's like 50 it's like 20 security guards.
And you're right, and it's about planning.
One IT guy to swap the hard drives. And
everything in New Zealand is like these data centers are planned years in advance, and they're well structured, well thought out, and every single organization we're dealing with is doing a great job. In the US, it's just an arms race, and they're just like build. They'll put them in tents just to get things up because there's so much demand. So we don't want that. We need to be well thought through in terms of what we're doing, but we should be wanting them here. It's not that we don't want them. That's a really bad narrative because if you don't have it, you don't have data security, you don't have data sovereignty. These are bad things for our future. This is the infrastructure of the future, which we want here.
That's a really good way to put it. And it's an education and attitude problem, like you said, people resisting things.
But it's also like, the irony is that AI has created the distrust, which means people don't believe the facts. So it's like the data center powers the AI, which creates the distrust.
I mean, I've been saying
all data centers are the same. It's like, not all data centers.
I was saying like a couple of years ago, if AI fails, it'll be because it kills itself, right? Because like there is a lot of value, but there's also a lot of grift because there's just a lot of money, right? And so a lot of money attracts people who are trying to genuinely do cool stuff, and also people who are just looking to try and drag as much money out of the system as quickly as possible. And so, the distrust is legitimate. Like the impacts on American companies, on American people from the bad behavior is legitimate. The somewhere between falsehood, not falsehood, embellishment and actual lies that you get from people like Anthropic, where they're like, fire all your engineers, we can replace everyone today. Like, no, you can't. Maybe in a year, probably in 10 years, but today, definitely not, right? Like the poor behavior smears the whole industry.
Yeah. I think James on the previous podcast was just like, take the win. We managed to create a completely magical device that mimics human intelligence and knowledge. and everyone's just like hyping the crap out of it instead of going, look what we did. It's amazing. Let's just use this. Yeah. So I think, that's probably the big risk. But coming back to electricity, I think it's just really fascinating that it's such a technology that we live with every day and reap the benefit from, and there are still arguments about its safety and whether or not we need to be investing in this infrastructure. And it's like, really? Like, are you that naive? Are we that naive, or are we that easy to influence that we didn't get here using, the prevalence and the ubiquity of this technology?
Yeah, although I think some of that's because it's been around so long, right? Like RCDs and modern electrical control devices have made it so much safer. But a load of houses don't have them, right? Like my mum had an old villa, and when the electrician came in to replace a light bulb, he touched the cable, and the insulation from the cable just fell off for like 5 meters down. And he was like, you have to redo this whole house. You can't keep running this wiring, right? So there's so many people who are living in houses that are
just not up to
wired to like 100 years ago's standard.
Yeah.
And the standard of today, like, modern devices will keep you way, way safer.
Oh, I want to hear about your electric house.
Well, I just got some, before I joined Schneider, actually, I got some solar panels. And once you have an app that, you know what I'm going to say, right? Like, once you can see something, you then just can't stop looking at it. Like, I'm all of a sudden like, no, turn that off, turn this off, because you can see the spikes in energy that people are using. Like, education is everything when it comes to efficiency. The number one saving is actually not by like automating things. It's actually just your awareness. And so, I'm not going to leave that thing on anymore.
Yeah.
Or, close the lid of the spa after you get out of it, because it uses heaps of energy just having the lid open. And then I did a little renovation at home and just went full noise on everything. So I can now see the feeds of all, so we put in these like things called power tags into my switchboard. So I can now see what the oven's using, what the aircon's using, what the EV charger's using, what everything is using. And so then you can start to see these dynamic loads and where your energy's going. And so it's really, once you've got that knowledge, you then start to make your house a lot more efficient. Yeah. But next I need to, if I double my panels, because I got a fairly small system, again, I wasn't in the industry. I was just like, I'll just grab 5 kilowatt system. And now I'm going to double that and get a battery, because then for half the year I could be off the grid.
Wow.
Not taking anything off.
But do you store beans?
Beans.
You got to store beans. If you're going solar panels, you got to have beans.
He means like,
and you got to have
like
a
actual
water
food
tank.
beans.
Like
canned beans. Or dried beans.
No,
actually.
I grow beans. Does that count?
Very,
and every year I use the same ones. I've been doing it for 15 years.
Knows what he's doing. I just want the record to reflect.
I don't think it's enough to sustain. It's not enough to sustain life.
Ollie,
okay,
find Ollie.
I'm not. It is enough to sustain us for one day worth of beans.
You just need the shotgun to fend off the marauders.
Yeah,
his prepper tendencies do come out so often.
Yeah.
Have you think about the world as much
as some gold bars like buried in the garden? No.
Have you gone into like home automation things? Like, do you run like, because it's been on my, there's a in home automation and in general nerds who mess with their living space circles, there's always the wife acceptance factor, right? Like, how much is this going to just cause me pain? Because like, it only takes once where the light switch doesn't do what the light switch is supposed to do, and you're not allowed to do smart light switches anymore.
Yeah, so it happened to me many years ago, because I'm like a person that buys things like when they're at the bleeding edge, and there's a lot of downsides to that. So once my wife got up to go to the bathroom in the night, and the sensor got her and turned on the whole house lights and the stereo. So I don't know what I was thinking.
Mate, look, you're obviously new to this game. What you have to do is make sure you play with tarot cards often enough that you can get away with. It was a poltergeist.
Yeah.
It was a poltergeist. That's the only explicable reason.
I just like
A
to go on
a
record and
Voltagast.
say that
Voltagast.
I completely reject all of these stereotypes.
I'm fully into I electrified the blinds and put them on home automation. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's not really necessary. I mean,
Like
it's just a
living in a
gimmick.
Japanese
So you'd be
hotel.
like, yeah, okay, Google, close the blinds, and they close. But I mean, it doesn't actually serve your life very well.
Well, I have
but you-
read that if
no,
you
but you do-
track blinds to the sun, that can make a big difference to your efficiency, right? Like,
Yeah, heating and cooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Timing's a big thing though. Just having, so I've got the lights that come on and off at the right times, and the heat pump that does the same, and being able to control everything from your phone. One of my problems though is I've got about 6 different apps to control different things, and it's just not sustainable. So we need to get to a single platforms where you can actually get more automation. So that's what we've got. We've got that. So it's bringing all of those things together so that you can get smarter. Because there's geeks like me and maybe some other people in this room that will go through and do this stuff, but most people just want it to just work.
Yeah.
And so we got to get to this stage where things just work and they're efficient and you don't have to think about it. You just go, my preferences are that I'm not cold, or my preferences are I just want to save as much money as possible, and then the machine does it for
I
you.
cannot wait for my Xbox controller controlled humanoid robot, because I'm just going to be sitting there all day just making my Unify robot just like.
Oh, I thought you meant like a robot to play Xbox for you, and I'm
No,
like,
like a controller and a humanoid robot to like go and do stuff, because I'll be like, hey, can you take the trash out? Nope, but the Unitree can.
So I'm gonna.
Surely you don't want to have to control it. That's the whole point.
It's the new type of video game.
Yeah,
that's the objective.
I do want an electric mower.
When
Or like a robot
electric motor mowers came out, before they could be fully robotized, so before you just get like go and mow my lawn, there was like remote controlled lawnmowers, and I'm sure the only people who bought them were like, I'm not going to actually push a lawnmower, but when I can drive it with a joystick, this is fun. I'll do it every day.
Yeah, it's actually fun.
The new ones are quite good. I've got a robot vacuum cleaner for the pool, and I forgot a few things. I've got an electric scooter. I've got an electric lawnmower and robot lawnmower and pool. Yeah, okay, I've got a few things. But the cool ones now is so that when you first use them, you have to like show it the border with the remote on your phone, and then from then on it does it, which is perfect. So you get to do the remote thing, but then let it do its thing.
Oh my god, I've got a robot vac as well. I love him. His name's. Have you named yours?
Yes, mine's Viper.
Oh.
Good name, strong
Did the
name.
I also
kids
need
name
it.
it?
Well, there's this thing because I've got 2 girls, 2 female cats, a female dog, and my wife and I. So I needed a boy in the house. So it's Viper.
Yeah, okay, fair. Mine's called Roy Kent, and my parents' one was called Ollie.
Oh,
my German automobile is called Angela.
yeah.
Angela
Merkel.
So I'll take a guess and think that you might have traveled a bit around the world with job, with life, with whatever. What's the coolest country that's just doing electrification super well, or like really impressive that you're like, if we end up there, that's what good looks like?
Oh, great question. I would say what Australia has done, so they're way behind us on decarbonising the grid. But because of that, they've gone super strong on the home thing. So they've got almost 40% rooftop solar.
Wow.
Yeah, they got insane.
We're 3%.
But they started like 20 years ago or something, right? Like,
Yeah, and they've had
prophetic.
subsidies, and now the
they've got
batteries
weather
gone.
that sort of supports it better too.
It's
right?
actually
Like some
not.
places.
But New Zealand has great sun and plenty
Yeah,
of
that's a
sunshine
big
hours. It's the
misconception.
incentive. It's the incentive behind it. The return now is very clear. There's a capital outlay, and for a lot of people, that's a problem. So the stuff they're looking to do with councils being able to fund it off their balance sheet for loans is, I think, a fantastic idea. But in Australia, because they've just had that extra incentive, which takes about a third of the cost out, it just became a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And you felt really good about coming off the coal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's that dual thing. But now what they're doing with the batteries is just like, there's streets ahead of the rest of the world, really. And this is, working for the global energy leader. We look at Australia as like, this is the future of having this decentralized system, because it means less poles and wires. It means less cost for everyone. Even it means less cost for the people that don't do it.
Yeah.
Because of the people that do it. So, I'd say that they're probably in the lead there.
Is it also a potentially good thing? I mean, we both live in notoriously flood-affected Tarangi, and the amount of times I lose power in a year.
It's tree-affected, not just like...
Tree-affected, flood-affected. Yesterday, I was driving home from New Lynn, and an entire street between New Lynn and Tarangi was shut off because an entire concrete power pole had come down in the street. I think someone had hit it. But in our area, so many above... I was like,
middle of the day.
It really was. But the idea of having your own home source, I love the idea of putting solar panels up.
When we had the big flood a couple of years ago,
it was like 3, 4.
I bought a generator, but I've given it to my mum now because my car, you can just run power out of it. It's super dodgy because it doesn't tell you, like I've got the adapter off AliExpress because I don't think MG New Zealand sells it, or if they do, I couldn't find what the price was.
This is not authorized by Schneider Electric.
Yeah. It's not authorized by anybody. And it's got no indication on the amperage limit. So I plug it where you normally plug in to charge your car.
Did it at least come with an S-dock?
No, it's literally you plug it into the hole that goes into your car.
You may not want this on the record, Hamish.
It's got a ANZ.
Does it at least have the insulators on the ground pins?
Oh, it's got a ground. Yeah, it's got an RCD in it.
But has that got the little half, the pins?
We may void his house insurance.
Did I?
I'll take a look. If it doesn't have the half black, stop using it.
The way I use it is I literally carry the kettle out to the car and put the kettle in because the only thing I normally need.
Your neighbors must think you're dissolving a body.
Yeah. The only thing I normally need.
There he is again with the dog and the kettle plugging into the car. What's he doing?
Usually with a power cut, I just need a cup of coffee or tea, and like I've got enough battery powered devices that like a laptop. My internet stays up, like because I've got a little UPS for the internet. My internet stays up way more reliably than water or power does in my house for whatever reason. A laptop and my battery powered internet
but
and a kettle.
I'm so lazy. I would rather just spend the extra $2 of energy and plug in my kettle at the wall.
But the point is the power is off.
Power goes off.
Oh,
So
okay, got you.
He has to use his car.
Don't you have like a camp stove?
I do.
It's gas.
But that's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
God, Elena, it's like you weren't listening the whole time.
By the way, just you need a battery. Solar doesn't work without a battery.
Yes.
And a power cut, which is really
need a battery.
Need a battery or a car.
And those are super expensive.
Because I'm just interested in the process, I get people to come around and quote me on stuff occasionally. And so I'm thinking about buying it, but don't always do it. But it's understanding the process. It's painful. Because people come in, they all want to have like a long chat to you, and then they analyze and they come back, and you don't really understand half of it. It is a complicated process, so we do need to make that a lot simpler, get more standardization because it brings their cost down as well, right? So we can actually get better scale there.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like business model innovation, I think there's a massive place to play in terms of business model innovation in this space, because one of the problems is we're just using the oldest business model that's existed. Because I spend capital, I invest R&D, and I make a thing, and then I divide the number of things I can make per year over a time span with the number of times I think I can sell it, and then I add a margin. This is the most boring but effective business model there is, right? And when you look at a company like Schneider, what's your turnover globally? 40, 50 billion?
Euros. NZ, euros is just over 40 billion. Market cap's 160 billion.
It's about, is that euros?
Euros.
Yeah, so that's
300
just under the entire GDP of New Zealand. Like, it's about 300 billion, and New Zealand's GDP is about 400 billion. Yeah. When I say just under, I just mean 100 billion. I round in Elon math. But it's like, it's a very strong balance sheet. You're in a 190-year-old business. You're probably actually more reliable than a bank. There are probably not even banks that have lasted 190 years. And so how do you get consumers into, because it's kind of hard and complicated. Is there a way to change the business model so that the consumer locks in a contract but doesn't have any capital, and the contract transfers with the property that the thing's on? There has to be a little bit more interesting space to play. And even the idea of quoting, could you flip that on its head by having like a channel to market that's like, here's a whole bunch of questions. The channel provider like compareairconditioners.com has a whole bunch of technicians, and you go on there and you pay $100 and a technician comes out, does all the specification photos and everything, goes back to this online channel, and then people puts a tender out to like 10 or 15. Like
I think.
How do you make it easier?
There are some interesting models overseas, like using blockchain to be able to sell energy to your neighbors instead of selling it back to the grid. So you've got like community-based energy. So instead of
cottage market.
So instead of like selling back to the grid at 11 cents a kilowatt, you're selling it to your neighbor at 20 cents because it's less than they would pay from the energy company. So I think there's some really interesting models there where you can actually get better return on investment for your individual capital as well. It's a really complex industry because there are so many layers to it. And you've got your home electrician, and there's many thousands of those, and they're their own small businesses, and they buy off the wholesalers who then it's quite a complex system, and it's not an easy one to just we'll just go down this other path. So you really need some creativity there. I think businesses need the same as well. You're starting to see this. How do we get people duly rewarded for being in a dynamic situation? We're starting to see dairy farmers really get into this as well, because hey, if you've got no electricity and you can't process your milk, you've got real big problems. And so, but again,
also just the cost of fuel feeding into their operating costs and stuff.
Farmlands paired with, is it blackcurrant, and then
they're a customer of ours.
Solar on dairy. I mean, that's prime real estate for solar panels. As a milking shed or a feed
Why don't
shed.
they just grow cows with solar panels on the outside of them?
Obviously,
it's perfect.
Bio PVs. Heard it here first.
Isn't there a completely electrified? Is electrified the right word? I still feel like I'm saying the wrong thing. A cherry farm down in
Mike Casey's.
Is he also the CEO of Rewiring Aotearoa? Am I completing that? Yeah.
And he's an amazing guy doing amazing things. Really great advocate for electrification.
Yeah.
That is the right word.
Yes. Not frying people.
So and he's shown the what the returns can be from investing in these things. And often it's just that fear of doing something that's a little bit
attitude problem, right?
Exactly.
Genuinely, it's an attitude thing.
Yeah, it's just like we've always done it this way, so I'm not really sure that we can do it that other way.
Are the compliance things mostly solved? Because I know, like for innovative building materials, part of the reason they don't get used is the extreme risk aversion that councils have now, because they got stung with the leaky buildings 10 years ago, and so now they're like, nah. Unless you've had like 50 years of proven usage outside of New Zealand, we're just not going to consider like alternative.
I think regulation. They're backtracking on a whole bunch of stuff. There was this like recent piece of legislation passed where I think there was a change that required that allowed not just a Sparky to be able to bypass the mains line to connect an EV charger, so that you weren't loading the other end of the board. You were loading before the board, which was a lot safer. And apparently they've just repealed that for no good reason.
How do you know so much? Like, I know this stuff because I'm in the industry. But this is very, very impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Deep knowledge. Yes.
A lot of people would like to know, and I can't explain it.
You plug in at night.
It occupies the same place in my mind as like, what would you call, if a humanoid robot is called a humanoid, what would you call a robotic cow? Like, I can't explain it. It's just how my brain works.
Bovinoid?
Bovinoid? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take that.
Well,
from the general manager of Schindler's Lifts.
That's not German. It's French. It's very confusing.
No, I will take that. That is a very high praise.
As a
Thank
nerd,
you.
it does annoy me, right? Like that if there's a light switch that's hanging off my wall, I'm not allowed to fix that. I've got to call the Sparky. And it's like, I know everything that's going on behind there. And same thing as a mechanic, right? Like I find it very difficult to take a car to a mechanic because I'm like, you're not using a torque wrench. You should be using a torque wrench. You can't do that by hand. What are you doing?
I'll give you a little thing of what the future looks like for energy that might sort of you might be interested in. So the whole AC versus DC battle that was fought 100 years ago.
A lot of dead horses, dead elephants. We'll go into that later.
Well, can you name what things in your house run on DC? Do you know what runs on DC? So your car's DC.
Yeah.
Your solar panels are DC. Your batteries DC. Your LED lights are DC.
Oven.
Your oven's not. Your
No.
oven's AC. Your
Every
TV, your computer, your phone. So all of a sudden you're like, interesting. Most of your house is DC.
yeah.
What's left? It's basically the oven,
Heat pump.
maybe the microwave. Heat pumps can be DC.
Okay.
Yeah. They're not. They are AC, but they can be DC. And so you're starting to go, oh, and then you could touch the energy because it's at a low voltage.
It's the voltage that's important.
Yeah,
though,
you
right?
can run
Like,
at 24 volt, and therefore it's not dangerous. And so we see a future where you could potentially have a DC only home running. You would just have to use an air fryer instead of an oven at this point.
Oh yeah, not bad. More
Yeah,
efficient.
you can probably
less
that's
oil.
my daily
Much
anyway.
better for your
or
cardiovascular
you'll end up
health.
with two systems in a home. You'll have one system which transfers into AC for those heavy loads, and the rest of your home will run on DC because it's more efficient because you're not having because everything that's DC has to turn to AC and then back to DC. So we're converting it from DC to AC and then converting it back to DC to charge your phone, your laptop, run
which
your
is
TV.
also DC.
Yeah, exactly. So you lose efficiency there. So,
But that's also one of the advantages of having home panels, right? You go DC to DC. You can have.
But at the
your own
moment,
DC
no,
circuits,
everyone converts back to AC,
even
into
locally.
an inverter. Yeah.
Which is
Well, I mean,
moment,
even
it's complete
DC
waste.
to DC converters, they do AC in the middle, right? Like the way they work is they have a little FET or a switching device that switches the incoming DC, creates an very high frequency AC signal, which then goes through an LCR circuit and then gets switched back to DC again. So they're always using some sort of
an efficient conversion.
Actually, it's relatively efficient to do it that way. The straight DC to DC way to do it is just stick a big resistor in and burn the power that you don't need, which works fine, but is incredibly inefficient. But I mean,
with the battery, you just take what you need.
Take what you need, yeah, and then like the efficiency, it's really difficult because it depends on a bunch of factors, right? Like it is more efficient to transfer at high voltages at AC on lines. That's the reason we do it, right? If you were sending DC at 24 volts. City to city or generator to city, you'd be wasting loads. You'd probably, for a start, the power cables would have to be huge because of the amperage you're running, but then you'd burn all that power. But then you're like, once it gets into the house, kind of doesn't make sense to be still sending AC around inside your walls.
And if you once you get to the stage where you've got a battery, you're charging the battery with the AC, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then it's DC.
Yeah.
So you've already converted it. So why convert it then back to AC, then back to DC? Because every time you convert, you lose about 6%. So, there's a efficiency gain there. So anyway, that's what we see as coming, which is kind of crazy because that was a battle that was fought a long time ago and won. So
yeah, I mean, even like if you're plugging like a 24 volt DC adapter from a wall into your whatever device it is, it's often then you're sending DC into the device. It's then taking that DC, converting it back to AC, and then converting it back to DC again because it needs multiple different voltages inside. So like most computers, they need 1.1, 1.8, 3.35, 12 volts. You can't just take 24 volts and put it into a CPU, it'll explode. So they've got to do that conversion again. So yeah, I have seen like some stuff where they're talking about like smart distributions, because already when you plug something into a USB, like the modern USB-C adapter now, the device tells the adapter what power it wants, right? So it's not just the old style ones. It was just, here's 5 volts. Do whatever you need to with that, right? But you're only getting 5 volts.
Yeah.
And the new ones, you can say, well, what do you support? Well, I support 5 and 9 or variable, whatever. Oh, cool. I'll have 9.3 then, thanks. But doing that in like the whole distribution board. So when you plug your device into your wall, it's then communicating back to the distribution thing to be like, hey, I need 11 volts. Can you do that for me? Well, I can do 12. And then getting smart, like, because then your battery can say, well, I can, because the problem with batteries is it's not a standard voltage, right? Like the voltage, as you use the voltage in a battery, it drops off over time. So if you have like 6 volts, that might be enough to start with, but then as you hit 50% capacity, it drops below the 5 volts, and then to go down is much easier than to go up.
What innovations are coming up that everyone kind of has a general view of like the stuff that's coming down the pipe, but there's this shit like microwave energy. There's a couple of startups in New Zealand that are like literally beaming energy, and it works.
Yeah.
And then, you wouldn't
You
want a
just don't
pigeon to
stand
cross
in
the
there.
line.
Yeah.
It's like, anyone tasted fried pigeon?
Yeah, I think in SimCity 2000, that was one of the disasters when your microwave satellite pointed the wrong way.
Yeah. And OpenStar doing nuclear fusion. There's I think we're on the cusp of quite a breakout.
Yeah. What's the next bleeding edge thing you're buying?
Yeah. What are you seeing? What's exciting for Schneider?
Yeah, I think, for us, this is not super like bleeding, but everything is software defined now. Right? Whereas we've lived, the energy sector has been a hardware defined industry, and that is in the rearview mirror, and everything is software defined because just with the ability to use AI to control things and make them efficient, we're seeing that applied to everything. So software is becoming critically important. So that's where a lot of our focus is going. I do think, in the vehicle space, there's some pretty cool stuff where people are doing sort of inductive charging. There's some roads in France where they've got conductive.
So
the little thing drops down, so we're really close to the road and charges you go.
Because public transport in some places has had that for a bit,
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's an investment, obviously, because roads are expensive anyway. But those types of technologies that will allow this sort of what you talk about, so sending energy without actually physically being plugged in. I think conductive charging stuff is pretty cool. But yeah, and then just we're seeing the electrification of so many vehicles. It's pretty cool. Even like diggers. We're seeing people are now, they've wanted to electrify their ports. Ports is a big thing. They take a lot of energy. And so they go, we want an electric crane. And then they've said, actually, we want an AI crane. So there's actually someone in New Zealand doing an AI crane. So the crane will control itself, picking up the containers and moving them.
Where's that?
I can't say.
Watch the space.
It's in New Zealand.
Wow.
I mean, the big advantage of containers is they're standardized, right? Like that was the reason they took off, because they used to be when you were loading ships, you just have like a dock full of all sorts of shit. And then the people have to figure out how to stack it in the boat that maximizes the space and doesn't unbalance the ship. And now they've just got, this is the box. You fill up the box. And so it's perfect for AI.
And the reason we know that is because they're saying we don't want to use a cloud. We need to have this on-prem. So we do these pods that we just
that's cool.
build and then ship in. And
can we do a doomsday pod? Like a water container, solar, a kettle for Hamish.
Beans.
A little greenhouse
Beans,
with beans and like seeded
Cranes
the
are
last of the okra.
Cranes are kind of perfect for that, right? Because they have to be attached to the ground on rails mostly. So they've already got the distribution stuff. They're huge, so you don't have to worry about the size of the AI compute, because it's not like it's something you have to carry around. They're already carrying tons and tons. So yeah, they're perfect for local AI.
If you wanted to work on that doomsday,
you think you'd buy one?
I'd
You do need the second word. If you wanted to work on doomsday, hook me up, because
I'm
also keen on
doomsday kit. Like it's a stacking, like those Tiffins.
Okay,
how many days of energy do you think you need in that thing?
I'll say 5 is sufficient to like
for
sort
the.
I have a really good question to start to bring us to a close, if you will, because believe it or not, it's nearly 10:30. A trolley problem of sorts. If you could
How do you power trolleys?
If you could flip a switch and get every individual in New Zealand to electrify their home and car, or get every business electrified.
Business.
Really?
100%.
Yep.
So if you, and like homes are exciting because we all have one, but if you look at consumer energy use versus industry, it's just night and day. Like it's not even comparable.
Kind of like home recycling versus business.
Yeah. And the home's really important. It is really important. It's really important that people take action, and these things all contribute. But it's probably a quarter, maybe less, of energy consumption as homes.
Wow.
So it's industry and commercial that are way, way, way above. And these are important organisations that export a lot, and they're the fuel for. They pay all of our wages, and all these things are really important. But they're where the focus needs to be, and it's about getting that message across about how they can be more efficient and how we can help them be more efficient, because that's the job. Yep.
Would you say the same? Oh, I have one last question for you then.
I mean, I would. Like, it's interesting that some industries partially have self-electrified, right? Like, if you look at building houses, all of those power tools that used to be petrol driven, a lot of them have migrated to electric and to battery powered. There is a load of like, it's just better. And so when people get the opportunity to buy an electrified version, they will often take it just because it's a better experience. Like even
I think
vehicles, people who drive electric, who get the opportunity to drive electric vehicle, it's like, oh, this is really good. I enjoy it.
I think, USB-C and power banks, we should try a little harder to make the batteries kind of standardized. So there's an ISO standard for batteries, so that there's like, an 18 volt, 36 volt, 48 volt, 400 volt. Yeah. And it's just an ISO standard so that everything can clip together easier.
Yeah.
Because one of the problems is that it is complicated. Like, we trivialize how complicated these things are, but there's 19 decades of IP leading up to the ability to like ask a power adapter this big. How many volts would you like, sir?
Yeah.
9.3, of course, sir. Anytime, sir. Would you like that as sine wave or cosine wave? Would you like that Fourier transformed or flattened?
Yeah.
And it's like there's an entire microprocessor and Linux running inside a freaking power brick.
The amount of engineering that went into the standard so that you could plug the cable up either way and it would still work and not immediately explode. Like, half the standard is making that work that way.
Yeah. And I think if we could reach more standardization, the uplift, and businesses could make better decisions as well, because one of the problems is you have to buy the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Which I think is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like, if the Ryobi battery worked in the Makita thing,
Yeah.
it would create a more competitive environment, but it would lead to better products, and you could do your partial rollout because you were like, okay, I'm going to invest in the Ryobi now because it's got an ISO battery, and then later I can buy
in every business and in every home, there has to be a champion for efficient, clean energy to say, even if it costs us now, let's just take a small hit, make a sacrifice, and this will pay off in the long run, like with a car.
A lot of tool manufacturers, they actually sell their drills at a loss, specifically for that lock-in, right? Like, they want you to get that one first device with their battery, because then you'll buy every other tool from that manufacturer, because you buy all their batteries because you already have the tools that need those batteries, and then you buy all their tools because you already have the batteries that need those tools. So competition, because like on the horizon, there's like the sodium salt batteries and the non-lithium batteries, right? Like, they're not quite as efficient.
Cattle is just skyrocketing in terms of.
But the cost is going to be so much cheaper than lithium-ion batteries, and we don't have to worry about where we're getting the lithium from.
Safer.
Yeah. But if you've bought into a whole ecosystem and they decide to be a bit slow about migrating to the new technology, not much you can do about it, right? Like, what do you do? Throw away that investment?
No.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the problems with electrification, is because the technology is getting better and cheaper all the time, people are just like, I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
This is why you never want deflation in a country, because then people always wait and don't spend any money. Like, a little bit of inflation is good, because like, if I buy it now, it's cheaper than if I buy it in the future. But with technology, sometimes that's the opposite is true. And so everyone's like, right? I'm just going to wait and it's going to get better. And then it's like, but if we all just keep waiting, then nothing happens. You need early movers to like get going.
This is actually one of the biggest problems with EVs.
Yeah.
People are like, well, every year the thing's going to get better and better and better. And it's just like, well,
Yeah. And it's
but if no one buys them, then they're not going to make them.
Yeah.
That's exactly kind of what's happened.
The only reason these sodium batteries exist is because we started running out of lithium.
Yeah.
And people were like, we need to invest loads more in this.
I just had a really good idea, because I converted to it. Well, I don't have a full EV. I've got a PHEV. But I got it when someone, not me, wrote off my last car, and instead of my partner wrecked my car, and so I traded. When I got the insurance money, I picked an EV. How cool would it be if insurance companies incentivize people to move into an EV if they get a new car? Because that was the reason they changed at the time. Because you had said to me, it's actually worse for the overall macro factors of life to swap out the petrol car you have, put that back into the pool and go into an EV. So having a car accident, having a car written off was a perfect chance to move.
Yeah.
So do you know the thing that I love in the last budget, there's a change to the FBT. I don't know if you guys.
What's that? Fringe benefit
Fringe
tax.
benefit, yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Redeemed myself.
So they've increased the amount for petrol cars and
Yeah.
they've decreased the amount for EVs. And net, it's about I think about $4,000 per year per car for an employer if they're giving someone a vehicle.
Yeah.
Why this is important is because the bulk of new cars that come to the country are company cars that are then resold because
Into
everyone in New
fleet.
Zealand buys
Yeah,
second-hand
yeah, yeah,
cars because
yeah.
we like to get a deal.
Mm.
So I think it's like 60% of the vehicles that come in are company cars. So now when people actually figure this out, they'll be like, actually, and I've done the calcs, it's now cheaper to have an EV than it is. It kind of was, and then the road user charges came in and it kind of wasn't. And now that change is going to be really big. So, because it's the new cars coming in that you need to change, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not the switch. I'm going to switch out because that car's going somewhere else. It's the brand new ones coming into the country that we need to address.
Yeah.
So,
And you've got a fully electric fleet, right?
yes. Well, we've been rolling. We've still got probably a third that are rolling out, but yeah, we've got a
What'd you
lot
get?
of EVs. Me or the
company?
I think yeah, I've got a different one, but we've got EV6s and EV5s.
Oh, Kias.
Yeah,
nice.
And the team love them. Even the people who are like, well, there's a lot of resistance of changing and a lot of misconceptions.
Yeah.
Funny, just a couple of misconceptions. People were like, I won't be able to charge it in the rain. I mean, not true. You
Yeah.
definitely should plug your car in the rain. People worried about insurance on their houses. They were like, oh, my insurance premiums are going to go up. Not true, because we went and we talked to the insurance companies and it's not true. But one thing that was true was you should never use an extension cord to plug in your car. Just for everyone, never use an extension cord.
I did do it once.
Well, if you,
I bought
if you-
myself a little recently. I
yeah,
bought a little
this is not
rain
legal.
shield for.
This is not legal advice, but in the car, you can usually limit the power.
Oh.
So you should, if you are forced to use any kind of extension cable, you shouldn't. Absolutely shouldn't. But you should limit it.
But now everyone loves them, and all those things have just disappeared. And the change management, and there's no going back. So it's been a really positive one for us. So
we saw. So this is my genuine last question. This is the winding road I was taking, because I brought it up in the last podcast. We were chatting to somebody. There's a photo, it did the rounds on LinkedIn, of a diesel truck with a trailer parked across 4 EV spaces. And the commentary was, there is no kind of legal, you get a fine if you parked in for example, a disabled spot or a parent park. Should we be fining drivers who park in EV spots when they're not an EV car?
No.
Why?
Because I feel sorry for them. They have to pay for petrol. It's so...
I think anyone who's parked sideways,
there's been problems.
So anyone who's parked across 3 car parks deserves a fine no matter what they're driving.
Thanks.
I think
They decide to get, they will get what is called street justice.
I think you could find them anyway. Like, I'm not sure that
just let it. Just
I'm
watch
not sure
it, let
that's
it
true
happen.
because all EV parks will be private parks. And private parks are under the contract that you formed with the person when you parked at that space and they showed the clear notice, right? It's the same same legal justification that all of the automated systems use for when you park there, and then they send you a little notice afterwards saying, here's your $200 bill, you agreed to this when you parked there, right?
Yeah.
So you just need a little notice saying, by parking here, you agree. If you are not an EV car, you pay $400 an hour.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to that LinkedIn post and see if anything
It
happens.
was very popular. I saw that.
Yeah.
Because in America, like the rules are different. And so, yes,
Look,
potentially true.
That person is just going through such a tough time paying $2,000 a month in diesel.
I think the answer is actually...
They're having a very existential crisis about, their ideology versus basic math. So... I feel for them. My heart goes out to them.
The
if they
problem
need
is
4
they
car parks to make themselves feel better about pissing away money on the petrochemical industry, what can you do? Kill them with kindness.
I think the problem is they couldn't figure out how to plug their truck in. So what you need to do is help them by just taking the thing and just figure out how to get their truck plugged into they obviously want to be plugged into the power source. Let's just get their truck hooked up to the power source.
Maybe we're actually just really misunderstanding them. Maybe they wanted to park in the EV and hope that the car would turn into an EV.
Yeah.
Maybe we just need to help them.
We're manifesting EVs all over the show.
Yeah. That would be an extremely expensive joke, but just go around and replace their truck with an EV. So when they come out of the shop, there's just an EV.
I would love that joke. That would be any EV brands out there. This is the ultimate. And by the way, just for the record to reflect, I drive old petrol BMWs. My 4-liter V8 BMW is in the shed.
Yes.
So,
you don't park in the EV spots.
No, I don't park in the. No, the V8 drives once a year and spews out about 500 kgs of CO2 once a year. And most people spit out 2.3 tons of CO2 every month just from going to the groceries. And that's your average car. Mm. And that doesn't even include the 4-liter Holdens and the 6-liter LS2s and all of that stuff. So the carbon the thing that's destroying everything is not the Sunday drive. It's the grocery run, the indifferent grocery run. So many people have been indoctrinated that a petrol car is the only way to get from A to B. And most people don't care what they drive. They just want a reliable car that gets them the freedom that they want and the ability to go from A to B and not worry about where am I going to get my energy from so that I can keep the thing moving. Those things are all met by electrification. And if people who aren't passionate about cars, drive more EVs, the people who are passionate about cars can keep driving the V8s. So I'm coming all the way back around.
I would say the people that are passionate about cars should be driving EVs because they're the best.
I drive
vehicle on
EVs
the
as well.
road.
They are fantastic vehicles. But
How many cars do you have?
I have a 4-liter BMW V8 from 1995. I have a 3.2-liter factory manual E30. I had a Mercedes 123. That's gone. I've got a BMW iX and an i4. So those are the dailies. I've had 6 Leafs, and I've helped about 40
That's almost
people.
a whole bush.
I've helped about 40 people buy Leafs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
and not one unhappy
car
customer.
guy. Yeah.
When I was talking about an electrification influencer,
it can be sometimes difficult to get Danny's attention because he's got a lot of different irons in the fire. But all you need to do is say, I'm thinking about buying a car.
And he'll be, how can I help? Oh, man.
Okay. I am bringing us to a close. Thank you so much, Ollie. I've learned, I'm going to have to rewatch this and get out my physics book and go home and shut my spa lid.
That was great. Great pleasure. Nice to have such a well-educated panel of interviewees.
Thank you.
Interviewers. Amazing to have that depth of knowledge. So, great chat.
And we must come out and visit the Schneider cool smart space.
Yes, come to our Vision Studio and magic things happen when you open the doors and it's very cool.
Are they lift doors? No, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Ollie.